All right, so how to release anger I have at my mother, and how do I overcome the seeming limitation I have based on messages received early on? So releasing anger, you can't control what other people do. You just can't. You can't control whether your mother, or anyone really, is on your same wavelength or treats you the way you want to be treated. Family, they're just people too. And the reason I say that is because since we've been raised with certain people and we have such familiarity with them because we see them every morning when we wake up for however many years, they're always around us, it breeds attachment, which means we see them differently than, say, someone we see on the street. If someone on the street treated us the way a family member would, we probably wouldn't be friends with that person if it's a bad relationship. So first thing is that realize that the difference between like relationships with mother or father or people that are in your family, the thing that makes it so hard is just the familiarity, the attachment that you have with them. Now, how do you release the anger? The only way I know to do this, and it follows up with the second part of this question, is acknowledging what happened between you and family members, whatever it might be, because you can't change the past. That's just what happened. And when you can acknowledge what happened, then you start to make peace with reality. To say this shouldn't have happened, to say thus and so, you're creating a story. And that story is obviously not validated by your experience. Right? The next thing you do is decide, well, is it worthwhile to invest my attention in this relationship? For some people, it is. For other people, it's not. If you are invested in healing a relationship, the only thing you can do is truly see the person the way they are, their personality first. And once you see their personality, don't expect anything different. Because that's where a lot of anger and that's where a lot of issues come from. We see someone, we think they should be this way, they should be that way. We go into the relationship, they act the same way they've acted for the last 30 years, and there we are angry again because they're not acting to our expectation. First see them the way they are, and then when you go into the relationship, when you go into talking to this person on the phone or seeing them, just ask yourself, all right, how are they going to act in such a way that's going to make me feel the way they always do? What are they going to do this time? So you're expecting it. And then it happens. Like, oh, okay. You're not invested in it. Again, you wait. They do the same thing over and over again. You start to see that it's like an automated response. And eventually, it kind of becomes funny. Now, it depends on just what's going on with the relationship. But because you start to be able to predict just what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. But you see what's happening there is that you are then, you don't have any expectations. You see them for what they are, or how they are right now, and their habits and their patterns. And then you can choose whether you want to be in that relationship or not. Now, the next step with this is, if you choose you are all right with that, is learning, practicing to feel love and forgiveness for this person. And they might not give you any reason at all to feel love for them or forgiveness for them. But being a spiritual being, we are free from our conditioning. We can choose that. We can choose to see through the personality, see through the fact that they're on autopilot, and see them in light, see them in wholeness. And this is not to change their behavior. All this is doing is to take the edge off of the situation and give you the opportunity to practice unconditional love. Because you can't help the way people are, remember. All you can help is how you respond to them. And by responding with anxiety or hatred or frustration, that's only really supporting the situation. See them for what they are, personality-wise. Don't expect anything different. If they've been doing that for the last 30 years, more than likely they're going to do it again, so just come to terms with it. And then if you choose to maintain that relationship, do your utmost best to start seeing them in love, to start seeing them in peace, no matter how they act. And what you will find, nothing may change, or you may find that the relationship does start to change, because you are no longer holding up that fighting, that frustration, and then you relax around them, they relax around you, and there's more openness, there's more breathing room, where little things can change, little things can occur. The idea of overcoming limitations and messages from early on, again, the thing to do is, one, acknowledge that they happened, because they did. After you've acknowledged that, what you can do is meditate, get very clear, and then whatever messages that you've allowed to come into your consciousness, as you're meditating, feel as though you are giving them up to God. And so what I do is I imagine like a radiant white ball of light. My eyes are closed, I imagine it right up there. And as a message comes up, as a feeling comes up, I let go of it, right? Because the reason it bothers us is because we're still holding on to it for some reason. It's like there's a glue there. It's like, there must be something that I need to let go of this. But really, you just need to let go of it and see it going into this light. And it takes practice, and it doesn't always happen immediately. But the more consistently that you do this, the freer you become from these messages. And then once the slate is clean, then you can start telling yourself your own messages. All right? And then you recreate yourself in that way. Because remember, we're all just characters here. We've made ourselves up. So you can either choose to allow the messages someone else in to shape you, or you can give those up and you can create your own messages. All right? Don't give up. I mean, that's the thing. Most people give up too soon. So don't give up. You can do it. Next question. So what are your thoughts on no thought or no mind, as suggested by Eckhart Tolle and others? Finding the gap between thoughts. This is a really beautiful practice, and we can start doing it right here, and this is how it works. Wherever you are, just listen. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to look in any different places. Just listen in your ears to what you hear. And be aware of your body, how your body feels, however it feels. And for example, if someone's talking, listen to the words, but just as intently as you're listening to the words, listen to when there are no words. So then it's not the words that become important. Because if you make one thing important, then you're saying this is not important. You make everything important. When there's silence, hear the silence. When there's words, hear the words. And hold this state as long as you can. And if you want, you can set aside a particular, 15 minutes a day when you're just going to do that. And don't make it during your meditation. Make it when you're actually out in the world doing something. One of the first superconscious samadhi experiences I ever had was listening to Eckhart Tolle. In his book, The Power of Now, I had it on tape. I got it back when we had audio cassettes. Every night that I had one of these tapes, what I would do is I would put it in my stereo, and I would listen to it as I was going to sleep. And at one point he said just what we're talking about. Don't just listen to my words, listen to the space between the words. And he spoke in such a way that he did have spaces. And what I found was I then could hear his words, and I could feel where I was. But then when there was silence, I was just as much there as anywhere else. And as the night progressed, I slipped into a state where I was just aware of being. I was aware of my body sleeping. I was aware of my mind dreaming. But I was just a point, watching this. And so that's why I really like finding the gap between the thoughts. And it doesn't require that you force yourself to sit in meditation. In fact, it's better if you're actually out in the world, listening to someone, doing something. Because you are so fully involved that you become so perfectly present that there's no thoughts, there's no mind. You don't have to worry about things, just happen naturally.